Happy Sundays with Cinnamon.
Hi, everyone.
Today I would like to talk about surrender. I was featured in the Daily Love this week speaking about surrender, and so many people commented afterwards, like, how in the heck do you do that? So, what is surrender to you, and how do you do it, Sin?
Well, it's looking in the face of what is and relaxing, because you can't change the what is by not surrendering. There's nothing you can undo with rigidity. And anything that can be changed has to be changed from a relaxed. For instance, pick up a pen and write with this clenched fist, and then it's much more doable when you surrender and relax, so to speak, and do whatever can be done. So it's you're not calling up your spiritual intelligence when you refuse to surrender. Because, like Jesus, the most powerful historical figure that I can remember, surrendered. And in that surrender, he became the most known figure of love in the world.
I was thinking about that this
In the
morning.
world. And so, and even people who don't believe in Jesus as Christians, or as I believe in Jesus, dig his life, because it was a life of surrender to love. And see, surrendering to love is what creates power. You asked me before we started this to describe an experience that I experienced. Let's see, I'm looking at how many years ago the Boots was. The kids were, what, 12? And so it's many years ago. They're in their 40s now. And I was a runner at the time, and because I was in charge of the children's program at Cornucopia, where I lived with Ken and the rest of the
With Ken
teams.
Kai as your teacher.
Yes.
In Berkeley?
No, in Kentucky. We moved from Berkeley. We outgrew the house we had a 3-story house in Berkeley, and then we bought this abandoned monastery in Kentucky.
I didn't know.
In St. Mary's, Kentucky, which is about as big as this apartment. I'm kidding. And not much. There were about 700 people in the town. It was amazing. And the monastery was just a short walk. And the town was this country store that had a pool table and lots of beer drinkers, and it was just teeny tiny. And across from the store was this St. Mary's Church and St. Mary's Cemetery. Tiny town. And so I would get up and go very early in the morning to run, because the kids in the children's program would be getting up around 6:30 or so, and I wanted to be dressed and prepared for them. So this particular morning it was raining, and I ran down past the cemetery, or actually it was right to the end of the cemetery, which was beside.
What time was it?
It was, well, I started running at about 4:30, so it must have been 5:30.
Okay.
And so the cemetery was beside the church, so I ran to the end of the cemetery and then started coming back. It was about a 5-mile run. So I was running, and it was raining, and I heard this slapping on the ground, which connoted someone running. And clearly they didn't have running shoes on, because of the sound of it. It was like bare feet slapping on the ground. This is such an uncanny story. So I looked over my left shoulder, and there was this young man, couldn't have been more than 19, stark naked, and chasing after me. And he grabbed me by my hair and pulled me down. And he was very drunk. You could just smell the alcohol, so strong. and he's standing over me. He pulled me down and then stepped over me, and he's standing over
Oh
me.
my.
And I was so startled, and
Are you up at all? Are you half up? Are you
No, I'm on the
completely laying on,
ground. I'm
heads on the ground?
stunned.
Heads on the ground. Okay.
stunned, and I'm looking up at this naked individual standing over me. Do I need to describe it any further? I doubt it. And
Hang in there.
And there was just shock, and I was startled. I wasn't making myself afraid. I was just startled. And so he starts in telling me with this drunken voice what he's going to do to me. He's going to do this and that. Just terrible verbiage. And so the first thing that came to me was, I don't care what you do to me. I am just going to pray. And
Surrender.
yeah, it was just incredible because I was in front of St. Mary's Church. And that was the first thing that came to me to say. Whatever you do to me, I'm just going to pray. And it was as though I had touched his little naked body with a cattle prod. Those words were not what he expected. I suppose he expected tears and please don't hurt me or whatever he expected. And he takes off. The next car, it was a pickup truck, coming up the road was an off-duty sheriff. And so, what's the matter, little lady? And I was getting up at that time, and I was shaky. My body was shaking, because your body will react to that kind of shock. And I said, I told him what occurred, and he said, get in this truck, we're going to go after him. And so I said, please, no, I want to go back to Cornucopia. And so he was startled by that. He thought I would want to just go chase after this kid. And so I knew not to do that. I was excited because I wanted to go wake those kids up and tell them what occurred.
Your children.
Not
all
just
the
my
kids. Oh,
all
okay.
the kids. I got them all up, and I said, sit down. I want to tell you what just happened to me. And I was excited, and I said, someone wanted to hurt me. I didn't go into, he's naked, standing over me. I didn't go into what he said. I said I was out running, because they knew I did every day. And I said, this young man wanted to hurt me, and because I didn't make myself afraid or make him wrong, I just experienced myself, and I just told him I would put myself in the hands of God, love, and he just ran away. And I was so excited to tell them that, and that no matter what the circumstance, fear is not going to help you. It is not going to help you. Think about it. Please, everyone, just think about
Now, this story is sounding a little woo.
how fear doesn't help. Yeah, well, that's why I say even I experienced it. And it's so, I love the story because
I do
it's
too.
true.
Well, and it's a perfect example
of.
of surrender.
Yeah. Yeah, and my own children were there, and they remember it to this day, that it was like, this is crazy mom, excited because someone attacked her. And they got it at the same time.
Well, you had been a victim or a thriver now of incest
Oh, yeah.
for 16 years.
Oh, yeah.
And so for this to occur again by someone completely different,
It was a checkout.
it
like,
was
what
checking
about
in.
now,
How
son?
about now, sin?
Yeah.
Are you going to surrender now? Do you trust me now?
Yeah.
And you have never been attacked since, correct?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's been an amazing journey, because whatever is about to occur is about to occur. The only way that you can have power in it is to not make yourself afraid. Think about, even currently, that beautiful woman who was in the school where that young man came and he's gonna, annihilate half the kids and the cops and all this stuff. I'm sure most of you have heard that story. And she is like an American hero now because she loved him. She said, okay, baby, I have been in trouble in my life. I know what it's like to be upset. You just sit down now, you behave yourself, and I love you. And she meant it. And he knew she meant it. See, that's what I mean. She could have said, "Oh, freak out time."
She distinguished the doer from the deed. She saw the person's innocence and called upon that.
She said, "My husband just left me after 30 years of marriage. I know what it feels like to feel so sad." And she was so heartwarming and such living proof that had she made herself afraid of him, her fear would have triggered his fear even more. And who knows? So, and she did admit her body was shaky too. I mean, as long as we're in this container, our cells, our bodies will react.
Yes.
Although you don't have to surrender yourself, who you really are, to your body's reaction. If I burn myself, I'm going to react and get to the cold water and do. You see, so.
So what happened the next day? You went down. I remember you
went
down.
I went to the store. Yeah, I went to the store because love isn't stupid. You know, the cop wanted me to go chasing after the kid. There's so many kids in that town, only so many. And they all know each other, and they all, are over the pool table practically every day and so forth. So I went down to the store, and I said, "Okay, guys," and heads up when I walked in. Because clearly...
Everyone knew.
Yeah, and they thought he got away with it. And so I said, "I don't even want to know the boy's name. I just want him to know that I forgive him. And I never want that to occur for anyone ever again. I want to leave this better than I found it. And only forgiveness will do that." And they were just like stunned. And I walked away, and I never saw the kid again. And I don't need to find out if they delivered the message or any of that, because that message was delivered for love, to love, about love. And
So
that's
many
what a
people,
servant does.
so many people would think though that he got away with this, and he may do it with someone else, and you could have caught him, so he wouldn't have done. What do you
that's
say with that?
I say you have to know yourself and your guidance and your surrender to love.
Because
Well,
sometimes it would be in the flow to catch him.
Absolutely.
And that's
absolutely.
where we're not going to do the cookie cutter
Cannot.
rule on love.
Cannot, because even with your two children, to treat one, just because this is the rule, the same way you would treat the other in the same instance, like if one of them stole something or both of them did, you have to deal with the individual and their makeup and their program and their sensitivities and all of that. So absolutely, I could hear anyone saying, "What is she crazy? Blah, she should have."
Although most of the world is not clear to
That's true,
make those
because
decisions.
they're not programmed to be. Just like we still have capital punishment in so many states. And what that's about is organized murder is superior to random murder. That's exactly what it is. And there was a time in my life, that's why I say beliefs and feeling and all of that, I put that second to knowing. Because years ago, when I was a very young mother, if anyone had scratched a hair on my kid's head because I was so full of fear and self-rejection because of my own past, I would have pulled that electric switch and killed the person myself. And I admit to that. And as I grew in consciousness and I realized, wait, murder is murder. When Robin was shot, I heard that the man who shot her was killed. I had to breathe into that because there was no joy in me that he was killed, that a mentally ill person was murdered. And that did not take away one bit from my concern and my pain over Robin being shot.
I love that we began the Sundays with Cinnamon speaking about Jesus.
Yeah.
Because
He's my
really,
man.
yeah, because
I love
really
that.
what you're describing is what Jesus did on that cross.
Absolutely.
And that
absolutely.
message is just completely lost in this right or wrong world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Jesus did not make them wrong.
No, he said
even
they
in
don't
the
know what they're
moment.
doing. Because they're not loving, they don't know what they're doing.
They're not being themselves.
That's it. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. What a message about surrendering today.
Yeah.
You did pick Julia Shears for a message.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And I want to say to Julia, there is a way you have of distracting yourself from, I'll use the term cutting to the chase. You create, you know what to do about certain situations, and you know it strongly, and yet you distract yourself because you're afraid of the rejection of other people, the good opinion of others, and so you do not fault yourself for that. Just understand that you're going to leave anything better than you found it when you don't distract yourself from what your heart knows to do. So I just see, like in my head, a scissor cutting right through your mind's stories to your heart's knowing, and then just doubt your doubt. Whenever your mind says, yeah, but Julia, you say, yeah, I get that. And if you learn to know what you know and then look at what could occur, don't be afraid of what could occur. Just say, oh yeah, oh, then mom will be so mad, and dad will do whatever, and I'm just making up a scenario here. You can say, okay, I get that. I know that will occur. And if you stay in your knowing, in your heart, you'll just breathe into that, and you'll fasten your seatbelt, and you'll go forward with all your heart, so that if that occurs, oh, there it is, right on schedule, and you'll build on your strength. You won't need them to love you or anything, because when people don't get what they want, they forget to love, because what they want becomes more important than what they need.
Mm-hmm.
So be a servant, Julia. You are. You know you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She joined the peace train too.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
nice. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, all. Thank
Yeah.
you, Sin.
Yeah.
Happy
Oh,
Sundays
pleasure.
with Cinnamon.
Pleasure. Bye.
Bye.